A trail camera in rural China captures one of the clearest Bigfoot clips yet. Glowing eyes stare back from just behind a camper's tent. Another camera captures a towering figure crossing through the woods before several cameras mysteriously disappear. This is trail camera footage that could finally prove Bigfoot exists. Finally, some supposed Sasquatch footage has been released that's actually clear. Now, that footage supposedly comes from a trail camera in a rural part of China. Their version of Bigfoot is called the Yeren, which translates to wild man. People have been reporting these things for centuries, mostly in thick, isolated mountain forests of Hubei province. The creatures are described as huge, ape-like, usually somewhere between 6 and 8 feet tall, covered in reddish-brown or dark fur, walking on 2 legs. The main difference between the Yeren and the Sasquatch we talk about in North America is that the Yeren is usually described as leaner, faster, way more agile in the trees, rather than a massive, bulky wall of muscle. Now, things got crazy back in the 70s and 80s with these things. The Chinese government actually sent huge official research teams with hundreds of scientists, military, and professional trackers into the mountains to hunt for them. They found massive footprints, weird nests. They also found hair samples, but they never got clear footage or a body. But is this actual footage of one of these legendary creatures, or is it just a hoax? Let us know what you think down in the comments. Something was lurking behind this person's tent, and it wasn't a deer. By the looks of it, it wasn't even a bear. But first we see a pair of glowing eyes against the pitch black dark of the forest. Notice how high off the ground they are. Whatever this thing is, it's tall. Now this is pretty creepy, but we can't really make out anything other than the eyes. That is, until we brighten up the footage. Now we see part of a massive body, a leg and an arm, the vague shape of a torso. Still can't see the whole thing clearly, but can tell that whatever it is, it's big, hairy, and bipedal. Craig Salk lived a quiet life on 80 acres of land in Menominee, Michigan with his wife Barb. They lived in a small cabin, worked part-time jobs at a local gas station and Subway, and spent as much time as they could hunting. To keep track of the wildlife on his property, Craig set up several trail cameras around the woods. Well, in 2012, one of those cameras caught a shadowy figure that didn't look to him like a normal animal or person. The camera took a sequence of 3 photos. The first frame was empty, the second captured the strange silhouette, and the third was empty again. Being a fan of Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot, Craig sent the images directly to the show's producers to see what they thought. The producers came out to the property, featured Craig and Barb on an episode, and the couple's quiet life flipped upside down almost overnight. Suddenly, Craig was being interviewed on TV and radio stations, and he started hearing from people all over the country who were desperate to share their own strange experiences. We were getting phone calls from people who'd seen a Bigfoot but never told anybody because people would think they're crazy, Barb said. Seeing how much interest the photos generated, Craig and Barb decided to open up their property to the public. They named it the Hidden Adventure, letting visitors walk out in the woods, check out the exact spot where the photos were taken, and decide for themselves if the footage was real. We've had people come to the Hidden Adventure and they've told their story. Their voices were just quivering. They were shaking because they'd seen one, Barb went on. And it could have been years ago that they saw this, but they could never talk about it to anybody. I had a lady come up to me one time and she was just shaking and said that she had to come out and talk to us because she said she can't get it out of her head that she saw a Bigfoot looking in their camper window. This footage was uploaded to the YouTube channel Jimmy B Trail Cams. It appears to show a large, hairy figure walking through the trees before crossing right in front of one of the cameras. The channel mainly features trail camera footage from Birch Bay, Washington, and almost everything on it is exactly what you'd expect to be seeing. Foxes, wolves, hawks, owls, other beautiful but regular wildlife wandering past the cameras. So Jimmy B doesn't seem like someone who's constantly trying to prove Bigfoot exists. He just uploads whatever his camera happens to catch. And this was one of those recordings. The footage isn't perfectly sharp, but you can still get a decent look at the figure. It walks with long, steady strides. Its arms hang unusually low at its sides as it moves between the trees. And those are details people often point out when comparing sightings to the classic Bigfoot description. After posting the video, Jimmy B shared another update. He said 4 of his 8 trail cameras were missing the day after this footage was recorded. Moving away from the United States though, let's head to the land down under. This image was reportedly captured by a wildlife camera overlooking a dirt trail in rural Australia. The path stretches through dry trees and brush, and in the distance, there's a tall figure standing in the middle of the trail. The first thought is, it's probably a person. But then you start to look a little closer. The figure seems unusually thin, and its arms are too long, hanging almost to its knees. The torso also looks unusually narrow, which gives the whole silhouette a very odd appearance. That's why some people connected it to the Yowie, sort of Australia's version of Bigfoot, which is described as large, hairy, human-like, living in the remote wilderness. This next trail camera image blew up online after people claimed it captured a baby Bigfoot creeping around in the woods. The photo shows a small, hairy figure standing back in the trees, staring directly at a group of deer feeding in the foreground, and as you'd expect with almost every Bigfoot picture or video out there, it's not incredible quality, but better than a lot of the stuff anyway. The one who uploaded the image is Stephanie Wood, who wrote, "We know what you're thinking, it's Chaka from Land of the Lost. Our gut reaction to this photo is that it's probably a short person in a costume, maybe a kid, right? But after analyzing it for a while, we're not so sure anymore. Could this be a baby Sasquatch or one of those hairy little people that pop up in reports now and then, which are described as squatchlets? One thing we know for sure is that the truth is only stranger than fiction in more cases than not. Chaka or a squatchlet, you decide." Back in 2009, a man named Casey Kudrowski and his brother Peter set up a trail camera just like they did every year outside their family's hunting shack in northern Minnesota. Usually they catch normal wildlife like wolves or bobcats, but while checking the footage right before deer season, a massive fuzzy figure walking upright crossed the screen, leaving both brothers assuming the other was pulling a prank. When they looked closer, a few details didn't add up. The dark shape couldn't be a bear based on its arm structure, but if it was a human, it would have been huge, measuring around 7 feet tall when compared to a nearby tree. It didn't look like either of them, Casey Kudrowski said. We all kind of had the idea in the back of our minds, but we didn't want to go and say Bigfoot outright. The family ruled out a neighbor pulling a prank after checking with everyone nearby, and no hunters had been in the area that night. Plus, the footage was taken in complete darkness. Whoever was walking past was not carrying a flashlight or hunting gear. Casey's dad reached out to Tom Sherman and Bob Olson from the Northern Minnesota Bigfoot research team to take a look. And after analyzing the image, Sherman said he believed the family actually caught a Bigfoot on camera. Even with the researchers backing the footage, Casey said he was still on the fence though. The whole experience definitely made deer hunting season feel a little different that year all the same. The less I thought about it, the better, Casey said. I'm still unsure what it is. And finally, back in January of 2020, someone working for the Washington State Department of Transportation was scrolling through the live traffic cams on State Route 20, way up in the Cascade Mountains. The camera caught a shot of this huge dark shape trudging through deep snow right along the tree line. Screenshots hit social media with a joke about catching Sasquatch on tape, but people online immediately took it seriously and ran with it. When you look at it, it is this solid black silhouette against all the white snow standing out in the middle of nowhere on a totally empty mountain road. Pretty strange, but what do you think? Is someone just playing a prank, or is it possible this is legitimate Sasquatch evidence? That's been the video. I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next one.